If you're over 60, knee health quietly determines far more than most people realize. It's not just about pain. It's about confidence, stability, independence, the ability to stand up, walk without hesitation, climb stairs, and trust your body. Orthopedic surgeons see this every day. Seniors often come in worried about their knees, believing damage is inevitable and decline unavoidable. But orthopedic specialists know something important. Knee problems don't suddenly appear. They develop slowly, often years before pain becomes severe. And in many cases, the damage that limits seniors later in life is not caused by age alone. It's caused by habits that quietly overload the knees or fail to support them properly. After 60, the knees change. Cartilage becomes thinner. Joint fluid decreases. Muscles that stabilize the knee weaken unless they're used intentionally. When this happens, everyday movements begin placing more stress directly on the joint instead of being absorbed by surrounding muscles. That's when stiffness appears. That's when pain begins. And that's when many seniors start moving less, which unfortunately makes the problem worse. Top orthopedic surgeons agree on one thing. Protecting the knees is not about avoiding movement. It's about using the right movements and habits so the knees are supported instead of strained. Seniors who understand this often maintain knee function far longer than those who simply slow down and hope for the best. The first thing orthopedic surgeons emphasize may surprise many seniors because it has nothing to do with surgery, braces, or medication. Knee habit number 1. Strengthen the muscles that protect the knee, not the knee itself. The knee is a hinged joint. It is not designed to absorb force on its own. It relies heavily on surrounding muscles, especially the thighs, hips, and calves to control movement and absorb impact. When these muscles weaken, the knee joint takes the load directly. Over time, this accelerates wear and increases pain. Orthopedic surgeons consistently see that seniors with knee pain often have bad knees. They have undersupported knees. The muscles that should protect the joint are simply not doing their job anymore. This does not require heavy weights or gym workouts. Gentle, controlled strengthening of the leg muscles is enough to significantly reduce stress on the knee joint. Simple movements like slow chair stands, controlled leg extensions, or gentle step backs activate the muscles that stabilize the knee during daily activities. Seniors who strengthen these muscles often report less pain when standing up, walking, or climbing stairs. Not because the knee magically healed, but because the joint is no longer carrying the full burden of movement. Orthopedic surgeons often explain this using a simple analogy. Think of the knee like a door hinge. If the frame around it is strong, the hinge lasts a long time. If the frame weakens, the hinge wears out quickly. Strengthening the muscles is how you reinforce the frame. Another important point surgeons make is that slow movement is more protective than fast movement. Slow, controlled motions train the muscles without placing sudden stress on the joint. Seniors who move deliberately often protect their knees better than those who rush through daily tasks, but muscle strength alone is not enough. The second knee protective habit orthopedic surgeons emphasize is one that many seniors unintentionally ignore. Knee habit number 2. Maintain joint motion to nourish the knee. Knee joints do not receive nutrients the same way muscles do. They rely on movement to circulate joint fluid, which delivers nutrients and removes waste. When movement becomes limited, joint health declines faster. Many seniors reduce knee movement because of stiffness or fear of pain. Orthopedic surgeons understand this fear, but they also see the long-term consequence. Joints that move less become stiffer, weaker, and more painful over time. Gentle knee motion, bending, and straightening within a comfortable range helps keep the joint lubricated. This can be done while seated, lying down, or standing with support. The goal is not to force range of motion, but to keep the joint from becoming stagnant. Surgeons often tell seniors that motion is medicine for the knee as long as it's controlled and pain-free. Seniors who keep their knees moving daily often experience less stiffness in the morning and better comfort throughout the day. This habit also improves confidence. When the knee moves smoothly, the brain becomes less protective and less tense. This reduces the guarded, stiff movement patterns that place extra strain on the joint. Orthopedic surgeons emphasize that protecting the knees is not about pushing through pain. It's about maintaining motion that feels safe and controlled. Over time, this gentle consistency supports joint health far more effectively than rest alone. When seniors combine muscle support with regular joint motion, the knees are placed in a far healthier environment. Stress is distributed. Movement feels smoother. Confidence returns. And this is only the foundation of knee protection. Once orthopedic surgeons see that the muscles are supporting the knee and the joint is moving regularly, they turn their attention to something many seniors underestimate: how everyday habits either protect or quietly damage the knees. These habits don't feel dangerous in the moment, but over time they place unnecessary stress on the joint and accelerate wear. The third knee protective habit focuses on how you stand, sit, and move throughout the day. Knee habit number 3. Use knee-friendly movement patterns. Orthopedic surgeons often observe that knee pain after 60 is not caused by one big injury, but by thousands of small stresses repeated daily. How you stand up from a chair, how you sit down, how you turn, and how you walk all influence how much pressure the knee joint absorbs. One of the most common knee straining patterns is standing up while the knees are far in front of the feet. This places excessive force directly through the knee joint. Surgeons recommend keeping the feet closer underneath the body and leaning slightly forward so the hips and thighs share the load. Another harmful pattern is twisting on a planted foot. When the foot stays still and the body rotates, the knee absorbs the twisting force. Over time, this irritates cartilage and surrounding tissue. Orthopedic specialists advise turning the whole body instead of twisting at the knee. Even walking habits matter. Short, stiff steps increase joint impact. Slightly longer, smoother steps allow muscles to absorb force before it reaches the knee. Seniors who walk more fluidly often report less knee discomfort, even without changing how far they walk. These adjustments do not require strength or flexibility. They require awareness. Orthopedic surgeons consistently see that when seniors move with intention instead of habit, knee stress decreases significantly. The fourth habit surgeons emphasize addresses something many seniors associate with comfort, but that can quietly harm the knees if done incorrectly. Knee habit number 4. Use heat and cold strategically. Not randomly, heat and cold are commonly used for knee discomfort, but many seniors use them without understanding their purpose. Orthopedic surgeons clarify that each has a specific role, and using them correctly can support knee health rather than mask problems. Heat is best used to reduce stiffness and improve joint movement. Applying gentle warmth before activity helps muscles relax and improves blood flow. This makes movement smoother and reduces strain on the knee joint. Seniors often find that using heat in the morning or before walking reduces discomfort. Cold, on the other hand, is best used to calm irritation and swelling after activity. If the knee feels warm, puffy, or sore after movement, cold helps reduce inflammation and settle the joint. Using cold when there is no inflammation can actually increase stiffness. Surgeons often remind seniors that heat prepares the knee for movement, while cold helps it recover afterward. Used correctly, both support joint comfort. Used randomly, they often provide only temporary relief. The key is moderation. Short applications are enough. The goal is not to numb pain, but to support healthy tissue response. Now orthopedic surgeons turn to one of the most important but overlooked knee protective habits: body weight distribution and load management. Knee habit number 5. Reduce excess knee load without avoiding activity. Every step places force through the knee joint. Even small changes in body weight or load distribution significantly affect how much stress the knee absorbs. Orthopedic surgeons emphasize that this is not about achieving an ideal weight. It is about reducing unnecessary load where possible. Simple adjustments make a difference. Carrying groceries in 2 smaller bags instead of 1 heavy bag. Using both hands when lifting objects. Avoiding sudden drops into chairs. These choices reduce peak forces on the knee. Surgeons also caution against complete inactivity. Avoiding movement weakens muscles, which increases knee stress in the long term. The goal is controlled activity, not avoidance. Seniors who stay gently active while managing load often preserve knee function far longer than those who stop moving out of fear. Another factor is footwear. Shoes that provide stability and cushioning reduce impact forces traveling up the leg. Orthopedic specialists often see knee pain improve simply by switching to supportive shoes. Finally, surgeons emphasize listening to pain signals correctly. Pain is information, not a command to stop forever. Sharp or increasing pain signals the need to modify movement. Gentle discomfort that improves with motion often signals stiffness rather than damage. When seniors understand how to interpret these signals, they move more confidently and protect their knees more effectively. By combining muscle support, joint motion, healthy movement patterns, proper heat and cold use, and load management, the knee is no longer under constant threat. Instead, it operates within its design limits. Orthopedic surgeons consistently observe that seniors who adopt these habits experience fewer flare-ups, improved comfort, and greater confidence in daily movement. The knees feel less fragile and more reliable. Protecting the knees after 60 is not about doing less. It's about doing things more intelligently. And when these habits become routine, the knee joint often remains functional far longer than many seniors expect. After orthopedic surgeons help seniors protect their knees through strength, movement patterns, and load management, they focus on something just as important but far less discussed: how the brain and the knees work together. Knee health is not only a mechanical issue. It is also a neurological one. How confident you feel, how safe your brain perceives movement to be, and how predictable your routine is all influence knee function. Orthopedic surgeons often explain that many knee problems worsen not because the joint is severely damaged, but because the brain begins to treat the knee as fragile. When this happens, movement becomes guarded. Muscles hesitate, steps become stiff, and stiffness increases joint stress. This is why the next knee protective principle is about restoring trust between the brain and the knee. Knee principle: consistent, predictable movement builds knee confidence. The knee joint thrives on predictability. When movement is consistent and controlled, the brain allows muscles to engage fully. When movement feels uncertain or sudden, the brain limits muscle activation to protect the joint. Unfortunately, this protection often increases knee strain instead of reducing it. Orthopedic surgeons see this clearly in seniors who avoid movement for days and then suddenly do too much at once. The knee is unprepared, muscles are not activated. Joint stress increases, pain follows. Consistent daily movement, even small amounts, trains the brain to trust the knee again. Walking the same short distance each day. Performing gentle knee motions at the same time daily. Standing and sitting with awareness. These predictable patterns reduce fear and improve coordination. Surgeons often describe this as re-educating the knee. The joint itself may be capable, but the brain must be convinced that movement is safe. Once that happens, muscles engage more smoothly and the knee experiences less strain. Another factor orthopedic surgeons emphasize is surface and environment awareness. Knee principle: reduce environmental knee stress. Uneven surfaces, poor lighting, cluttered spaces, and rushed movement all increase knee stress. When the brain feels uncertain about footing, it stiffens the knee to increase stability. This stiffness, while protective in the short term, increases joint compression. Orthopedic specialists recommend making environments knee-friendly. Good lighting reduces hesitation. Clear walkways prevent sudden adjustments. Using handrails when available allows the knee to move more freely without fear. Seniors who improve their environment often notice immediate benefits. Steps feel smoother. Turns feel safer. Knees feel less tense. These changes reduce unnecessary joint strain without requiring physical effort. Another overlooked factor is fatigue. Knee principle: avoid knee fatigue. Accumulation muscles protect the knee, but fatigued muscles lose their protective ability. Orthopedic surgeons often see knee pain flare up late in the day, not because the knee is damaged, but because supporting muscles are tired. Spacing activity throughout the day instead of clustering it into one period helps prevent fatigue-related knee stress. Short breaks allow muscles to recover and maintain proper joint support. Surgeons also emphasize the importance of listening to early fatigue signals. Heaviness, shakiness, or reduced control are signs to rest, not push through. Resting at the right time protects the knee far more effectively than resting only after pain appears. Nutrition and hydration also influence muscle endurance. Dehydrated muscles fatigue faster, placing more stress on joints. While surgeons focus primarily on mechanics, they consistently note that seniors who stay hydrated and nourished often experience better knee tolerance. Another important concept orthopedic surgeons address is expectation management. Knee principle: separate normal sensations from harm. Not all knee sensations signal damage. Mild stiffness, gentle discomfort during movement, or temporary soreness often reflect reduced joint fluid or muscle activation rather than injury. When seniors interpret every sensation as danger, movement becomes overly cautious, increasing stiffness and joint stress. Orthopedic surgeons teach patients to distinguish between sharp, worsening pain and normal movement sensations. Movement that improves stiffness and eases discomfort over time is generally beneficial. Pain that increases steadily or feels unstable requires modification. This understanding allows seniors to move with confidence instead of fear. Confidence leads to smoother movement. Smoother movement protects the knee. Orthopedic surgeons repeatedly observe that seniors who trust their bodies move better, even with existing joint changes. Fear amplifies pain. Confidence reduces it. When knee protection focuses only on structure, important factors are missed. When it includes consistency, environment, fatigue management, and confidence, knee health improves more reliably. The knee does not function in isolation. It responds to muscles, the nervous system, and daily habits. When these elements work together, the knee often remains functional far longer than expected. When orthopedic surgeons talk about protecting the knees after 60, they are not talking about stopping life, avoiding movement, or preparing for surgery. One of the most important messages surgeons want seniors to understand is that knee aging is not a straight line. Some people experience rapid decline, while others maintain strong, reliable knees well into later decades. The difference is rarely luck. It is usually the result of how the knees are used and supported every single day. Knees do not fail simply because time passes. They struggle when muscles stop protecting them, when movement becomes chaotic instead of controlled, when fatigue is ignored, and when fear replaces confidence. The 5 principles you've learned address each of those problems directly. When muscles around the knee are kept active and strong, the joint is shielded from excessive force. When joint motion is maintained, cartilage and joint fluid stay healthier. When movement patterns are intentional, unnecessary twisting and overload are avoided. When heat and cold are used correctly, stiffness and inflammation are managed instead of masked. When daily load is controlled, the knee is no longer pushed beyond its limits. Orthopedic surgeons consistently observe that seniors who apply these principles do not just experience less pain, they move differently. Their steps are smoother. Their transitions are more controlled. Their posture improves. And most importantly, their confidence returns. Confidence plays a larger role in knee health than many people realize. When seniors trust their knees, muscles activate more naturally, movement becomes fluid instead of rigid. Joint stress decreases. Pain often lessens even when structural changes remain. This is why surgeons focus not only on the joint itself, but on the entire system surrounding it. Another critical concept surgeons emphasize is consistency over intensity. Protecting the knees does not require long workouts or aggressive exercises. In fact, too much intensity often backfires. Gentle, regular movement performed daily protects the knees far more effectively than sporadic bursts of effort. Short walks, controlled chair stands, gentle knee motion, and mindful movement throughout the day all add up. These actions signal to the body that the knees are still needed, still capable, and still supported. Over time, the body responds by maintaining strength and coordination. Orthopedic surgeons also stress that pain does not always mean damage. Mild discomfort, stiffness, or tightness often reflects reduced circulation, joint fluid, or muscle activation. When seniors learn to interpret these signals correctly, they stop fearing movement and start using it as a tool. Fear is one of the most damaging forces for aging knees. Fear leads to stiffness. Stiffness increases joint stress. Increased stress leads to pain. Breaking this cycle requires understanding, patience, and trust in controlled movement. Surgeons frequently remind seniors that protecting the knees is not about perfection. It is about making the knees feel supported rather than abandoned. Small adjustments, how you stand up, how you turn, how you pace your day, make a meaningful difference over time. Another important point surgeons make is that it is never too late to begin. Even seniors who have experienced years of knee discomfort often see improvement when they start supporting their knees correctly. Muscles can strengthen. Coordination can improve. Confidence can return. While structural changes cannot always be reversed, function can often be preserved far longer than expected. Knee health is deeply tied to independence. Strong, reliable knees allow seniors to walk confidently, climb stairs, get in and out of chairs, and move through daily life without hesitation. When the knees are protected, the entire body feels more capable. Orthopedic surgeons do not promise that knees will never ache again. What they offer is something more realistic and more valuable, a way to slow decline, reduce flare-ups, and maintain control. Aging will continue. Time will pass. But how the knees experience that time depends greatly on how they are treated. When knees are supported with strength, movement, awareness, and respect, they often remain functional far longer than most people expect. Protecting your knees after 60 is one of the most powerful investments you can make in your future mobility. It affects how long you remain active, how confident you feel moving through the world, and how independent you stay. Orthopedic surgeons see this outcome every day. Seniors who take care of their knees do not just preserve joints, they preserve freedom.